Welcome to TATV, where TAs go to learn.
In this episode of TATV, we will be focusing on classroom management and how TAs can control their classroom environment.
Yeah, it's such an important aspect of teaching and something that really deserves a conversation.
Many TAs have learned that students respond well to expectations as long as they are aware of them.
Right, so Natalie, let's start with you.
If you have rules in the classroom and you build a healthy environment, I think that most of the time students will tend to respond to that. Making sure that you set up the classroom in a way that you don't invite conflict. So maybe it's a time where you are going over grades or something like that. You don't give students the opportunity to argue with you about a grade, or if you are talking about a touchy subject in your class, don't give students the opportunity to attack other students and their opinions about that during a class discussion or things like that. Setting up your rules in that aspect so that students know that they need to be respectful of their peers and respectful of you, I think that'll probably help you in the long run.
That's great, Natalie. Simply setting those rules up and making them clear can help prevent many classroom management problems.
Yeah, discussing expectations is so important to classroom management.
For example, going over your policy on late assignments before the assignment is due is going to eliminate future problems.
Bryce, how would you say that planning and having clear expectations helps you with classroom management?
I think, depending on the course you're in, some students will think that they can literally go all semester not doing assignments, not turning them in on time, and then the last day ask for extensions, extra credit. And the key thing to maintain throughout the course is to let students know how they're doing in the course. Give them good feedback. Let them know that you're not coming to class, you won't pass my class. Just maintaining your authoritative figure in the class and not giving them the extra time. It's not only not fair to them, it's not fair to the other students in the course who have tried hard, who have turned in every assignment.
Again, being clear about these kinds of expectations at the beginning of the semester can really help to prevent future issues.
Yes, it's also important to plan when you discuss the expectations so you can ensure that you spend time reviewing them.
Definitely. And Catherine, you've mentioned before how planning in reference to classroom management can really help with things going smoothly. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
I think one of the things that I do to maintain control in the classroom is keep a relatively set structure to each day so that students know what to expect. They know that for the first part of class, I'll do some kind of housekeeping activity, reminders of any upcoming deadlines, collecting any work that I need to do, and then I'll talk about the learning objectives for the day, talk about what we're going to do. That's all in the first 5 minutes. They know that the first 5 minutes of every class are going to be that structure. And then throughout, if it's a set portion for lecture, then a set portion for a group activity, then just making it very predictable for the student. That helps them know how to behave and know that, if they want to talk to a peer, or they want to eat their lunch, or whatever it is, that there'll be an opportunity, maybe not for eating your lunch, but to kind of talk to their peer in 10 minutes. So, excuse me, can it wait? Thank you. And just being very firm and then saying, okay, now that it's a group activity or a think, pair, share, or a small group learning exercise, now you'll have the opportunity to talk to your peers. So kind of giving them those outlets in an active learning setting helps maintain some of the control and discipline in the classroom just while you're lecturing and kind of going about the daily sort of regular teaching responsibilities.
Those active learning strategies provide students the opportunity to interact with the content, and that is really just so important.
It really is. Bryce, would you agree?
Active learning is a key thing in every one of my classes. Students need to be able to participate. It's not good to lecture for a 50-minute period or 75-minute period. A few practices, I believe in the first 5. The first 5 is essentially meaning the first 5 minutes are when you're going to have the most attention from your students. So you need to make that first 5 minutes not only engaging but also effective, because that's in general that's going to be the 5 minutes they're going to remember from the class. Another practice I always take into account is no more than 10 minutes of lecture at any given time. So I might start the first 5 minutes with some engaging activity, and then I might move on to a little bit of 10-minute lecture, and then maybe a 5-minute activity, just to break off the monotony of the lecture.
Beth, you've mentioned something similar about having a set structure, talking about having a lesson plan for each day.
And do you feel that that helps maintain control, or do you really have to spend a lot of time going over like classroom etiquette with your students?
I don't think I have to because there is a lesson plan and because there is organization. I think if you come to class prepared, if you come to class with a plan, you know you have your introductory activity, you've got your lecture notes, you've got your manipulatives, you've got your assignment they're going to do and work in groups. I think it's completely impossible for there to be any cutting up or any loss of order in that. And I've taught in a lab, I've taught, you know, in the scale-up rooms in Harrelson, I've taught in a lecture style class as well. By planning, you're gonna completely dissolve any kind of problems that you're gonna have. Some stuff's gonna come up and you're gonna have to deal with that on your feet, but 90% of the problems that you'll have, I think you can completely ignore because you're gonna have a plan, you're gonna know what you're gonna do, the students are gonna know what to expect because you're gonna have some kind of routine established with them, and you won't even have to worry about classroom management.
That structure can also help students' understanding of what's coming up in a semester and help students stay on track.
Yes, and Natalie, you've also mentioned that having a lesson plan and having a set class structure can actually help maximize students' attention spans.
I think really having a good outline of how long each portion of the class will take. So when you're planning your lesson, knowing this portion of class should take 10 minutes, this should take 5 minutes, this should take 50 minutes. So knowing that you have an idea of how long something should take, so that if things are getting out of hand with the discussion, you're able to guide the students and say, okay, well, maybe this is something that we can talk about a little bit more later and move on to the next subject, so that you have enough time to cover all the material in class. Sometimes you kind of have to make a judgment if you're having a really great discussion and it's really giving the students a lot of information and helping them be able to learn a lot about the subject, then being able to say, okay, maybe we can spend a little bit more time on this, either during that time or come back to it at a different time. But you don't want to hinder the learning, but you do want to be able to stay within that time frame. And that gives you a chance to be able to kind of avoid those side conversations and things like that. If you're doing group work, being able to circle around the room and know when the discussion is going from the assignment to the football game that's happening over the weekend.
Natalie, I really like what you pointed out there. She's talking about how too much group time can really encourage that discussion to start to drift.
Right, and it can be difficult to regain control if you've allowed that to continue for too long.
Definitely. So, Sarah, I guess this wraps up our discussion of classroom management and managing through planning.
Yes, and next we're going to be talking about dealing with disruptions. So click on the next video for more TA TV, where TAs go to learn.